Hi everyone, and welcome to this session with our first USA-based solutions partner, DreamLabs. We have Thomas and John joining us from California, and we're so excited to have you guys on board. So without further ado, let's hear more about DreamLabs and what you guys have got planned for this year. So firstly, I wanted to ask you, tell me a bit about the birth of DreamLabs. Where did it all begin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Happy to share. And also, again, just really excited to be joining the Bravo community. We're really excited to be continuing to work with folks based in the States or in the Americas that are looking to really tap into the power of Bravo. And are looking for partners to make that happen for their apps. So really excited to dig in, support folks in the community. And then in terms of our story and how things got started, so John and I met a few years ago when building our own startup. Actually, the company was called Simple Surf, and our basic vision or our dream was to bring the latest in innovation and sustainability to the space that we really loved, which is the outdoors. So while building that company, we launched a couple different products. And one of the products that we launched was a technology platform. Our goal was effectively to create a SaaS-enabled marketplace to automate consignment of used surfboards. And it seemed like a relatively simple concept to build. We were really excited about the idea. And also, neither John nor I had a technical background. So we were looking for a development partner, and like most first-time founders, our instinct was to go find a team of third-party developers to build what we needed. In that first conversation with that team, they were communicating to us, "Oh yeah, what are you trying to build? No problem. We could do your MVP in 1 month." We took that at face value, really excited. As many folks, I'm sure, listening to this know, 3 months later, we still didn't have it. We're not even close to having it. So that was really a frustration point. We're like, oh, okay, we can't keep being strung along effectively. Like, we need to make a move. And we had been hearing about the no-code space and starting to kind of dabble, but really because we had no other option, it felt like our backs were up against a wall. We decided to dive, head first. So we fired the developers and we're like, all right, we're just going to do this ourselves. And after waiting 3 months, we were able to build everything that we were wanting and more in less than 2 weeks. So that was really our first moment. We were like, wow, this is extremely powerful. Like, if you know how to use these tools, they can do amazing things. And it was a relatively simple build. The stack that we launched at that time, Webflow front end, Airtable backend, Zapier for basic integrations, and a couple other tools. But that was pretty much it. And that experience was really the turning point for us, where in the process of building our previous company, there were things we liked about it, things that were really challenging. But after launching that no-code product, we were really like, oh, okay, this is actually what we want to be doing. The practice of company building itself is it's something that we obviously respect and know, but specifically the craft of product building with no-code tools is what we fell in love with, and what we wanted to really commit our careers to. So that's why we decided to close down the company and launch DreamLabs as a really founder-first agency to allow us to do what we love to do, building and launching new products entirely in no-code, while also providing the services and support that we wish we had had as founders. And really what that comes down to is kind of reframing our service from a traditional, dev shop or dev agency to really thinking of ourselves more as a fractional product team. And what that means in terms of the distinction is really three things. So one, in terms of how we orient, what we do is align on product strategy first. We don't go straight into execution. We really want to take the time to understand what the full vision of any of our clients really is, because from that full vision, everything else falls into place. And the second thing that we do, which is a bit different, is that for each new feature a client requests or says is important, instead of just saying, yes, add it to the list, send the invoice, for every new feature, we ask why. Why is it actually important? How does it fit up into that broader strategy? Because from our experience as founders, we know how easy it is to be communicating with third-party developers who are just like, oh, that's a cool idea. Sure, we'll build it. Oh, that's a cool idea. Sure, we'll build it.
Yeah.
And then way over time and over budget. And that is not actually in service of the most important thing for a founder, which is getting the core product out into the hands of your users as quickly as possible. And then the third thing that we do, which is a bit different, is that we don't effectively kind of throw up our hands once the product is shipped. We remain as a partner in learning, because our perspective is that especially early apps, MVP builds, V1 builds, the real value of any of those releases is not to be kind of wrapping your hands and saying, great, we launched it, we're done, we're good to go, the company is a success. It's not an endpoint. More than anything, it's the start of the journey. That's the table stakes. The real value is how much can you learn from what you just released, and how quickly can you implement those learnings into your next iteration. So we really provide that post-launch support in learning from the product, supporting our clients and setting up the user feedback sessions, supporting with them and leading those, taking notes, and then interpreting the insights to be able to move forward. Because again, from our perspective as founders, that's the type of relationship we wish we had had. So that's the primary distinction in just like how we approach and where that came from. But ultimately, the core of how the core value, just being able to launch fast. That's, I think, the primary value proposition of no code in general. Bravo specifically, of course, follows into that. And as a kind of quick story, our very first client that we worked with was a founder also in the outdoor space, super excited. And she came to us saying, hey, I have this idea for a mobile app. I've been talking with these third-party developers offshore, and they're saying that they can build it custom. It'll take 6 months.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? We're like, okay, let's see. Basic features. Okay, are these actually important? Is this the highest priority? Okay, go through that process. And then after really aligning on what the core feature set was, our estimate was that no, it would not take 6 months to build. Actually, we could build it in 6 weeks. So we decided to work together. And then after setting up the strategy, 6 days after we actually started building, that release was complete.
6 days.
So, yeah, just to show the kind of exponential speed difference when building in no code versus traditional development, and actually knowing what you're doing in no code. It's really very, very hard to compare.
God, there's never been a better way to show the power of no code, like you said, and it's safe to say you guys will never go back to traditional development. Yeah. Amazing. And then my next question is, how did you come across Bravo initially?
Yeah, for sure. So as we were been getting further into the no code space, our real intention in our first year running our agency was really taking a wide view of the ecosystem. Our core thesis is really that the no code, the power of the no code community is really in its ecosystem dynamic. So there are a bunch of different tools that are really, really good at their core use case. And to really unlock the power of no code overall, the secret is being able to mix and match the individual tools that are the highest value for a specific use case. So it's kind of like you're looking at a table full of Lego blocks, and you're like, all right, what are the best Lego pieces for what I'm trying to do right now? So because of that, we've been really playing with a lot of different tools and exploring the space. And we've been hearing a lot of buzz about Bravo over the past year, primarily around the intention for speed, or the capability of speed. So the kind of value proposition of transforming your Figma designs into a full front end is a really catchy idea. And that was the kind of hook that I feel like everyone was talking about. Have you seen Bravo? Have you heard of it? Like, this sounds too good to be true. So there was definitely kind of a buzz in the broader community about the potential for Bravo. So that was really where we had initially come into it.
Mm-hmm. So would you say then, I think you touched on this, Bravo's true value proposition for you would be the integration with Figma and that design flexibility?
Yeah, so I would say that that's how that was a kind of our initial assumption. And that's definitely how we came into it. But then as we've started to get more into the tool and actually start to build within Bravo ourselves, what we've learned is that what really separates Bravo apart from other no-code tools is, yes, it has the speed. That's definitely a fantastic starting point. But more than anything, it has flexibility in terms of the functional power, the engine that you can stick into it. And that was something that we really didn't expect, and found to be very, very unusual in the space, because as a general principle, what we've seen is that most no-code builders, when you're talking about web apps or mobile apps, kind of fall along a spectrum where on one end you have your very complex, kind of time-intensive products where you have a lot of customizability on one end, but relatively low speed is the kind of trade-off. And then on the other end, you have your tools that you're able to just move very, very quickly with, because of the kind of the level of kind of templatization. So you're able to move really fast, but you're much more limited in terms of your capabilities and your potential for scale. And what we've seen is Bravo is kind of an unusual outlier in that they're able to really bring both of those kind of core value propositions together, where if you know what you're doing in a backend database, and you can move relatively quickly in the backend of your choice, then you can plug that directly into Bravo to really unlock that power, that capability, and that ability for scale. And then also, if you know what you're doing on the front end in terms of design, your just ability for speed is pretty unmatched, while also not sacrificing any of that customizability. So I think that was definitely unexpected and really shifted our perspective of what Bravo is, where we had initially assumed like, oh yeah, they're another mobile app builder. But really what we've learned since then is that Bravo is less a mobile app builder and more of a kind of connective tissue or a glue to bring other tools together. So now we think about Bravo more as like Zapier for mobile apps, as opposed to a mobile app builder itself. We
literally changed our homepage to say that very sentence today, so we're definitely on the same page.
Amazing.
And then on the topic of Bravo, and you're sort of digging into it over the last few weeks, what would you say is your favorite feature so far of Bravo?
Yeah, definitely. I would say, the biggest thing that comes up is in terms of being able to really just have that in terms of not having to sacrifice either speed or customizability, speed or choice, being able to make changes in Figma for the front end to be exactly how I want it to be, and then just go in and with one button press refresh, and then to have that be displaying then on my phone via the Bravo Vision. It's very, very, very satisfying to have that kind of direct one-to-one, so seamless of an experience.
Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to backends, because obviously we integrate with a whole load of backends, in your experience, what would be your favorite so far? Or do you think there's different backends for different capabilities? What would you say on that?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's the ability that Bravo has to plug into really any different backend is a huge value proposition for folks that have already committed to a backend and then are looking for a builder to really plug that engine into. So I think if folks are already starting with that decision of which backend they want, and then are looking for a front-end tool that has flexibility, Bravo is one of the only choices that really is worth considering. So I think that's, for that use case, it's a really strong it's a really strong kind of value. But if folks are coming in not having already decided on a backend and they're more open to possibility, what we've seen, the default that we would 100% recommend is starting with Xano.
Yeah.
Primarily because the degree of logic that you can create within Xano with relative ease, as well as the sophistication of the API endpoints that you can create and then plug directly into Bravo via the native wizard is remarkable. And I think that's one thing that I definitely learned through the process of building a couple of test apps, is that Bravo is a remarkable tool in terms of being able to plug together different products to create whatever vision you have. But it definitely straddles the line of no and low code further on the end of low code. Much further than I had initially expected. Where coming into it, like, oh, Figma to app, okay, really simple. But then actually getting in and really plugging in the functionality and the feature set with the backend, that's where I really started to learn, like, oh, okay, you actually need to know like how to understand the anatomy of an API. If you don't know that, then one, Bravo is going to be a very difficult tool, doable but challenging, and two, Xano is really the only option, because one thing that we had initially tried was like, okay, we want to try a first test app with Bravo. What we've seen in the broader space is that Airtable is kind of the default for the lowest difficulty backend to start with. So that should be like our beginner default. And yes, Airtable definitely has a lot of functionality that's very, very simple to use. But then in terms of translating that functionality from Airtable into Bravo, that's where it was really like, oh, wow, there's actually, this is where that ease of use within Airtable really breaks down, because it is not an API first product by any means. So the actual process of creating the APIs and then setting them up in Bravo is definitely a substantial lift. And again, you really have to know how APIs work to make that happen. Whereas within Xano, the process of creating APIs is like one of the core features. That's one of like the main things that Xano does, and it does extremely well. So being able to really set up more sophisticated functionality within Xano and also have the ease of bringing it into Bravo, very good.
Yes, we recently built a web and mobile app with Xano and WeWeb. We all collaborated to create a kind of 360 product, and really, really great. So the power of Xano is, as you say, we love it. We absolutely love it. And then finally, I want to hear about your plans for 2023. I know we're only starting off the year still, but where do you see DreamLabs going? The whole sort of no code movement. What are your predictions?
Yeah, definitely. So the three kind of priorities for us are really the top priority is really digging into our partnership as the first US-based solutions partner for Bravo. So we're really excited to continue to dig into the community, become much more engaged and kind of present, and begin working with folks from the Bravo community that are looking for support in building their apps with a partner in that strategic process. So definitely excited for that process and to get started, rolling up our sleeves and building, because that's what we know best and that's what we really like to do the most. And then in terms of kind of the second priority, with all of our experience and seeing the patterns of what really leads to success in the product creation process, the second thing that we're really interested in doing this year is participating more in the broader startup ecosystems in the United States, because especially in 2023, with the state of venture funding in the way that it is right now, the king metric for startups is no longer growth as it's been for the past 15 years, it's profitability.
Yeah.
So the startups that are going to win are the ones that are really able to get to profitability as quickly as possible, are able to maximize their revenue while being really, really smart with where they're spending their cost. And for that reason, like, no code is even more of a no-brainer now than ever before. So we're really excited about continuing to do what we started last year, which is bringing the insights that we've learned to different startup communities, accelerators, incubators, and really providing some foundational guidance of how startup founders can think about using no code and really bring their products to market as quickly as possible, as effectively, cost effectively as possible. So definitely excited to continue doing that in terms of spreading the word and letting more folks know about Bravo, how to use it, really what use cases it excels at. And then the third priority for us in this year is continuing to build our own community. So what we really believe is that no code ecosystem community in general is really at an inception point. We're just getting started. And from our perspective as an agency, we are looking around, we're not really seeing a critical mass of peers, of other experts, agencies, freelancers in the no-code space. And that's something that we want to be very actively building. One, for our own perspective, being able to learn from others how other teams are really honing their expertise. And then also for our clients, we don't have any reservations about saying that we are not the right fit for everyone, but we always want to be as helpful as we can to everyone. So by building a community of no-code practitioners, freelancers, and other agencies, which is something we've started doing last year, we're able to pretty much in every conversation, our goal is to be able to have at least some introduction or referral that we can make. So if someone comes to us and we're not the right fit, we can always at least pass them off to one other person that we think would be.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Really great to hear these insights from you. And we're so excited to have you on board, and our community will be as well. And we look forward to seeing more of you, perhaps in our office hour sessions. You're always welcome to join. And yeah, guys, any questions you have, please leave them in the comments, and you'll be seeing a lot more of these guys on our website. So thank you, guys.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.